What's up, everyone? Good afternoon, Grant Cohn, Coach Noah Johnston. Hearing a little bit of an echo, but it's just self-corrected. That's how we should call this show 49ers Hemisphere to Hemisphere, because right now Coach Noah Johnston is down in South America, keeping it real. I don't want to say where he is because
I'm in Brazil. There you go. Everyone
in the law down in wherever he is. But he may or may not be back up here sometime. But anyways, good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Doing great. It's won't be in a couple days.
Again, we lost you for 2 seconds.
I said it's actually a little cold here, but it'll be in a couple.
A little cold up here too, in the 60s in the Bay. Usually, this is right around when the summer ends. I don't know if you know about the Bay summers, but it goes through about the 19th of October.
Okay. Is the echo better now, or are you still?
Gone. It's gone. It's StreamYard self-corrects, which is nice. One of the nice things about shout out StreamYard. All right, we need to talk about John Lynch. We talk a lot about Kyle Shanahan. It's hard to just know what John Lynch does, but he does talk, and he did do an interview recently with Matt Mayoko. That was just classic of the genre. What were your takeaways from this interview?
I thought it was a great interview. I thought he conducted some.
What did I think of the interview?
And,
I liked it. I thought he did a good job. I thought John pretty much conducted himself.
He's awesome, and he never. Yeah, John never has tells for anything. You can never. It's always straightforward with him, and I mean, I thought it was pretty.
Real quick, if you haven't seen the interview, there was a clip that was going around on Twitter that was just classic. Matt Mayoko is sitting there saying, some people kind of see it as a crisis right now in the organization, and Lynch cuts him off right there and says, "No, it's not a crisis." And he goes right to the ear. And what I was thinking is, man, if you have to sit down after week 6 with Matt Mayoko on NBC Sports Bay Area and say that it's not a crisis, it looks like it's a crisis mode. But then really the grabbing of the ear was such an obvious, like if you're at a poker table, you'd be like, dude, who brought this guy? Are you kidding me? And the thing is, I think if anyone out there has time on their hands and wants to make a big splash in the 49ers Reddit or Twitter community, go back through the videos of John Lynch's press conferences and cut up all the different times he went to his ear or his watch and just see like what he was talking about at those times, because I bet you'd find some great stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. The thing with the watch happened before. Was it the pre-draft press conference or a post-draft?
Yeah, probably both. I mean, come on. Someone with some time on your hands who wants to make a name for themselves, do it. Come on. I don't have it in me anymore. I would have done this 2 years ago. I would freaking have done this 2 years. I don't have the time.
Yeah. Or if you're a body or a body behavior communication specialist, DM Grant. Like,
please. That would be more scientific, because it seems to me like John Lynch is the kind of guy who has a tough time lying. He's so bad at it. He seems like he does all the. Did you ever see that show? It came out like 10 years ago. It was with Tim Roth, who was in Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction. It was called Lie to Me. And he was this guy who they'd bring him in and he'd like kind of look at you and you tell him the story and be like, oh, you just did this one thing. You were lying. And he kind of had this like science of, he was the human lie detector. You see that movie? Did you see that show? It's called Lie to Me.
I don't think so.
Anyway, it reminds me of that. Like, just bring in Tim Roth to one of these press conferences. Yeah, it'd be so easy for him.
Yeah, I mean, meanwhile, Kyle has zero problems. Like, I mean, Kyle will tell you the truth too, but I think
Kyle just says he just contradicts himself constantly. He's like, well, if I keep contradicting myself, no one can read into what I say.
Right.
We're gonna have a 2-quarterback system. We're not gonna have a 2-quarterback system.
Yeah, I want it.
Yeah.
So the Lynch interview was bad. I mean, he definitely has all. It seems like he has all these tells whenever he's saying something that we don't necessarily believe. So it wasn't good. I don't know why they did that interview, and frankly, like with the 49ers organization and all the resources that they have at their disposal, they don't catch this. Like, Jed can't see this and then go to a specialist and be like, John, when you do an interview, this is how you have to conduct yourself. If you're gonna lie,
no, that's not how no. See, you're not reading it right. Hold on, I'm an industry plant. I'm an industry guy. the way I read it was, oh, Lynch has to do this interview. NBC is partners with the 49ers. I've seen Kyle sit down with Matt Mayoko. He doesn't answer questions like this. He answers questions about hamstrings and the offense and stuff like that. Lynch has to sit down and talk about the state of the franchise and whether there's a crisis or not. He's on his own now, man. To me, he has to answer for that, not Kyle. He's the one that's got something to – that's the way I look at it. Like, yikes. John, it doesn't look good for you right now, man. It looks like you're going to be the guy that they –
the fall guy?
Yeah, dude. I mean, he must have been sitting there on that set being like, what happened? How did I get here? Why am I answering this question? And now I'm going to the ear, going straight to the ear. Yeah, his agent called up and be like, we're gonna get you a class, so you never do that again.
I just kind of saw. I get your point. I just kind of saw it as a hint to overall organizational crisis, and that's not. I don't know that that's something you want to display as being the 49ers brand. Like you don't want to show your organization in any sort of disarray.
Of course, the right answer wasn't to say yes, there's a crisis in the organization, but you can't go straight to the ear.
No.
Can't. It looked bad. It looked like
no.
It looked like when your like wife asked you like, so where'd you go last night? And you're like, I was with my buddy. I mean, we were chilling. My phone died. I don't know what to tell you. Like he had that look on his face, like he was caught red-handed. He was like, I don't know. I'm not prepared for this moment. I don't have a story. Let me kind of, I don't know what to tell you. Not that I've been in that situation. I'm just saying, guys in general. He had that look. I don't envy that look, that expression. That's like, man, I'm saying I know that. He had that look. Every guy knows that look.
It's funny. It's funny how John Lynch has transitioned from like the guy that everybody trusted and you know that trusted figurehead figure. Now it's like I don't know that we believe him all the time, and he's giving us the tell, so we don't have to. So.
I still trust him. I still trust him to tell us the truth.
You trust his body language.
Yeah, exactly. So that brings us to our next topic. If the 49ers miss the playoffs and he's in as much heat as he is indicating that he is, and he gets fired, who would be some potential replacements? I think that's a big question on Niner fans' minds. Okay, let's say they do the Control-Alt-Delete on this regime and start over again. Where's the starting point?
Well, here's the thing. Like, what are they doing, though? Are they doing Control-Alt-Delete on the whole thing? Or are they doing Control-Alt-Delete only on Lynch? Because if they do Control-Alt-Delete only on Lynch, what probably is going to happen there is they'll probably
promote Adam Peters and give Kyle Shanahan more power.
Correct.
Which is not the right answer here. No. Because
I don't think
I'm not in the organization. I don't know. Maybe John Lynch is really just doing whatever he wants during the draft and not listening to Kyle. But
I don't think that's the case, though. If you listen to what they've said from the beginning, if anything, it's Kyle has the majority of the power.
Especially if it's an offensive player.
Right.
Yeah.
And Lynch is kind of the figurehead and maybe he has power here and there, but there's even I remember during the first year or the second year of the regime, there was an article about how the coaches were choosing the players and not the scouts and the GM, and there was a lot of resentment for that that the scouts and the GM and just the personnel department would do all these write-ups and everything, and then only the coach would have the final say. So
yeah,
let's
talk some names though. Let's talk some names.
All right, Jeff.
There's a couple stragglers coming in from Facebook. Most people watch on YouTube, but Gino, what's up? Watching on Facebook.
What up, Gino Castillo?
Yeah.
Jeff Ireland with the New Orleans Saints. He's been there for a while. He's largely contributed to their success. Or been attributed to their success. If you look at the Saints have had some very good drafts. They had that one draft where they nailed, I think, their first three picks.
17.
Yep. So he's a name that's been thrown around. I know Vish likes it. Vish has thrown his name around before. The Joe Horitz, he's with the Ravens.
Okay.
If you look at he's the director of player personnel, I believe, with the Ravens. So if you look at the Ravens are one of the league standards as far as they're always in the mix. Like they're always in the mix to make the playoffs, making the playoffs. So they're one of the standards in the league. They've won.
One of the few organizations in this era of parity that has found consistency. They really have. They're like the Steelers in a lot of ways. Two teams that are always good.
What's a bad year for the Ravens? 8-8, or I mean, you can't go
pretty much 8-8. Yeah.
Then there's Terry Fontenot. He's also with the Saints. There's a surprise. Will McAvoy with the Cowboys. If you look at what the Cowboys has done in the past couple years, I mean, everyone kind of goofs on the Cowboys because of the Jerry Jones, but they've drafted pretty well. If you look over the last
Diggs, CeeDee Lamb,
the majority, even that offensive line from I'd have to look at how he's been there.
And they've had a lot better track record drafting O-line than the Niners.
Yeah. Yep.
These are good names. I'm liking these so far.
Yep. Joe Schoen with the Bills. He's assistant GM. If you look what the Bills are doing, the Bills are building. I mean, everyone touts Josh Allen, and Josh Allen is great, but they've done a great job building their team. They started with the defense, and their whole thing is they were going to build that team until they found the guy that was going to be their quarterback, and then they found Josh Allen. But they've done a great job in putting a team around him, and even like the trade for Trevon Diggs' brother, Stefan, that worked out pretty well.
Funny how Trevon Diggs used to be Stefon Diggs' brother. Now it's the other way around.
Well, the dude is getting really interception. He's
gonna stop throwing his direction. Like, how many passes does he need to pick off for him to get the Richard Sherman treatment?
He's gonna have more. He's gonna have more interceptions than Ayuk have.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Anyway, Trevon Diggs. But are there any other names you wanted to put out there? Just
Mike Borgenzon, Borgenzi with the Chiefs, director of football ops there. Chiefs up until this point. I mean, this year the Chiefs have been pretty solid. I mean, obviously they drafted Patrick Mahomes. He's not having a good year this year, but that's okay. We all saw what he's done in the past couple of years. They've put a nice team around him, and even prior to that, what they did with Alex Smith, and they were a 12-win team even with Alex Smith. So they've done a nice job over the years.
Is there anyone in Arizona who's any good? Because I like that organization. I mean, I don't like Cliff Kingsbury particularly. Them winning big without him was hilarious. It's like, yeah, of course. I mean, yeah. Basically,
I didn't check Arizona.
Their roster was good, and they built an NFC Championship roster like 5-6 years ago when they had Arians and Palmer, same guys.
There's a couple guys from the Rams. There's a couple guys. I think
I know that the Lions currently took people from the Rams, and that's what they're doing. But Arizona's they don't get. People are just starting to realize that that's a good organization. I think good organization.
Yeah, me personally, I probably would lean towards someone from the Saints, Ravens, Chiefs, just because you have a longer track record you can look at of success.
I'm casting a wide net here, but I like the names you put out there. About 7. That was good. Steve Keim is the guy in Arizona, I know, but I mean, we're talking like vice presidents.
Yeah, you're not going to hire hire a GM away from another.
Yeah, I don't think he would leave there to come here with the no first round picks. All right. So let's get back to Kyle. Niner fans are pretty pissed. They've had 2 weeks to marinate on a 3-week losing streak. How would you say is the fair and just way to judge Kyle Shanahan?
Well, I think a lot of people judge him on his the offense, but he's not just the offensive coordinator. He's the head coach, so he's responsible for everything. Mm-hmm. And we just kind of touched on it before, where he actually has the majority of the personnel control. So when people start assessing blame and all of this, they'll say, "Oh, he doesn't have this guy, or he doesn't have a core, he doesn't have this guy." Whose fault is that? Is that John Lynch's fault, or is that, if anything, it's definitely at least 50% of his fault. I mean, you're the thing is, like, when you're a head coach, you're getting paid the most in the organization. When it's just like you're the CEO, and as a CEO or anything in a position of leadership, you take credit for success, and then you also get credit for the opposite, which is
right. Again, like if the Niners were on a 3-game winning streak right now, he would be getting praised for every little thing that was going right.
Yeah, and
the defense.
And I've come on your show when you've praised Salah before, and I would say, hey, Kyle gets credit for that
head coach,
because
true.
Kyle's the one that identified Salah, put him in that position, and all.
And he's the one who identified D'Amico too. He does a good job with that.
But yeah, that's the one thing he does do. He can pick those DCs.
Yeah, he knows when a DC's better than him. Hey, the guy's better than me. That's all I know. He's better than me, so it must be pretty good.
If you ask him, he probably, when you say, how did you know D'Amico was a good, or Sal? Well, he did a good job against me in practice. So if you can do something against me,
kicking my ass every day in practice was a good indicator. Yeah.
So I think that's how you have to judge him as a head coach, and as his record. I mean, we have a large enough sample size now in the 5th year, and I've defended Kyle Shanahan before. I have not been on this train of looking at possibly getting rid of Kyle Shanahan, and I'm not there yet where I think he should be gone. But I think we should be at the point where we question him and question some of the decisions that he's made and making. And is he really the right person to lead this team forward? Because ultimately, it's about the quarterback position. And
any way you praise Kyle Shanahan has nothing to do with him being a head coach, right? It's usually like, well, his system's nice or stuff like that. But it's never, man, his leadership is unparalleled.
Awesome.
Or his culture, or his accountability, or his personnel decisions, or that's not it.
No,
it's always smaller stuff.
Yeah, it's, well, wow, he can get receivers open. Like, look at that. Yeah. Like, oh wow, like, Mick Mullins had a 4,000-yard passing season under Kyle Shanahan.
Right. But I mean, I feel like those are the same things you were praising Chip Kelly 4 or 5 years ago. Like, okay, he would produce some interesting stats while losing. Now, I guess Kyle's had the wins with Jimmy Garoppolo, but he's still 7 games under 500. What was Chip Kelly in the NFL?
I always like to bring up Doug Peterson, right? Because Doug Peterson, if you look, has a better winning record than Kyle. His
won the Super Bowl that he was in.
He won the Super Bowl that he's in, and he beat Belichick and Brady.
Yeah.
I think he was in the playoffs 3 of his 4 years.
Yep.
And his offenses were good, and he got fired.
Yep.
Like, so
rightfully.
If he got fired, then, and people are like, oh, well, you can't fire Kyle Shanahan. Well, the Eagles fired a Super Bowl winning coach, a guy with a winning record.
Yeah.
And why did they fire him? Because he bungled the quarterback position.
Right. What has Kyle done?
Bungled the quarterback position. Or
unless he can show us something with Trey Lance soon, because it's clinging to Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't see how that gives him a longer rope. I don't see it.
I don't see it either, but some people do.
Nathan says, wish you had your channel during the 2019 run. I know, right? I did, but I didn't go live. I would post the film breakdowns. That's when I started in 2019, and I have a playlist. You can go back and check out me praising all the great things that Kyle Shanahan was doing back then.
Maybe Grant, you could do like the NFL used to have the NFL classics. Like, you could go back in time and just be like, yeah, because everybody wants to run it back to 2019. So like, you can insert yourself in those week to week and be like, Yeah.
Listen to the surprise in Grant Cohn's voice as he describes the run game. Okay, moving on. The 49ers have a terrific defense, but they're doing the thing they did in 2018 where they don't force turnovers. They have a pick six in week 1 and a fumble that they recovered in week 5. Otherwise, no turnovers. And it's hard to play like they're very solid on defense, but it's hard to be solid for 11 series in a game. I mean, usually 1 or 2 or 3 you're going to give up some plays, you'll have a pass interference, and that's what the Niners do. They need to have some turnovers. What can they do?
Well, I think some of this is on the DBs that they're a little lacking in the corner department.
Yeah.
But you know what I think is the problem, and it's actually really not on the defense. I think it's on the offense, because when do turnovers occur? When the offense feels like they're under stress.
Right.
If you're an offensive coach and you're
dang, we're down 14. Damn.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Oh man, that our defense can't stop them, and we're down 14. Damn, we scrap the game plan, abandon the run. We're going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no urgency when you play the Niners because
their offense isn't going to score. We'll just
right.
What we do.
Russ and Kyle don't. Russ and Kyle over there in Arizona, they don't have to rush their decisions. And if it's not there, throw it away. We'll get it. We'll get them next time. Like, to me, if the Niners start doing something on offense, it'll increase the urgency of the other team, and then quarterbacks start rushing decisions and doing some of those things. But right now, when they're playing as is, you're gonna get what you're gonna get. And I'm not putting that entirely on the offense, right? Because I think, like I said, I think they're lacking in the secondary and in some of the corner positions. Ward, I think it's great, but we've seen this before. He doesn't cause turnovers, right?
Yeah, him and Tart.
They just don't. That's okay. That's who they are. But guys that would before, like the Shermans, aren't there anymore. I think you probably could get some from strip sacks.
But no, I want to focus on your main point, that this is an offensive issue, that the defense is playing well. I mean, you have Seattle basically, like, you're shutting out Seattle in the first half. And if the Niners offense had just found a way to score freaking 2 touchdowns, you could get Seattle into some panic situations and get those turnovers. Real quick, they've been talking about scoring points. We just got to score the points because we win. We get the yards. Like, this is a new issue with Kyle. Can I just point out Kyle's history with points? He's made a fortune off of yards. But in 14 years as a coordinator, counting this season, his offense has ranked top 16, that's top half of the league in points 4 times. 2016 it ranked 1, 2019 it ranked 2, 2012 it ranked 4, and 2009 it ranked 10. Other 10 years, including this year, 17 or lower. This year 17, and that's 10 freaking years where he was bottom half of the league in scoring. There's nothing genius about that.
No, and I think people put too much stock in this offensive thing, because it's not who has a more difficult job, D'Amico Ryans or Kyle Shanahan, when you're just talking about the offense and defense, not as a head coach, but as offense coordinator, defense coordinator. What job is more difficult?
Probably defensive coordinator.
Yeah, all the rules in the league
exactly.
Probably
defensive coordinator, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's way more difficult. So I don't think if they were to lose Kyle tomorrow, it's not difficult to find a guy that can run an effective offense. It's really not. Like, all the rules in the game are bent towards offense. Like,
right.
There's plenty of guys that can give you a great offense.
Right.
You're not losing anything there. You can find guys that can do that. The most important thing.
There's PTSD in the Bay, though, because of people like Jeep Christ, Chip Kelly.
Yeah,
but I'm with you on that. But I don't think that Niner fans need to look around. There are guys you've never heard of really succeeding as offensive coaches in the league.
You know what's interesting, because I thought of this earlier today, was that to me, I think to me, what I'm, and we'll see how the rest of this year goes. Kyle Shanahan will. I'll start looking at him more like the Jimmy Garoppolo of coaches. Like, I don't think he's terrible, but like he's probably maybe mediocre and
Yeah.
enough to get it done.
The
And
Jimmy Garoppolo of head coaches. Wow. The ultimate
is
irony.
it worth it to just move on from him and go with a quote unquote a rookie who might have more potential and get you in that top 10 echelon
Maybe.
of coaching?
Maybe.
And the other thing, it lends itself to what we talked about before earlier with the GM, is Kyle might be able to progress as a head coach and learn that he has to give up some of the responsibilities, the personnel. But you're not going to see that here. It doesn't
No.
work like that. Like, you're not going to give up give up all the responsibility at your current spot. It's like you're not going to take a demotion at your current job.
No.
You're going to do it somewhere else.
Right.
So that's not going to happen here.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you just, in that instance, you just got to move on. Like, if you're in a bad relationship, like, and you know it's a bad relationship, you can't divorce or leave that person just because you know that that person's going to move on very quickly, and he or she will find another guy like next week, and you're worried about, okay, if you move on from Kyle, like, you can't worry about, okay, next week he'll have it instantly. It's not about the next person. It's about you and your current state.
True. Paul says it's been more surprising how good D'Amico has been than how bad the offense has been. Good point. It's true. I mean, the track record's there for the offense and Kyle. He's good once every 3 years. Also, Grant has best profile pick. Well, thank you.
Yeah, D'Amico's done a great job. He's gotten progressively better every week. I don't think I think because of the score in the first week, people were a bit alarmed, but that was also a turnover issue too. They had onside kicks, and then there was quick change. There was an injury that happened. That all affected the defense there. And then the second week, and they did fairly well against against the Eagles, and then against Green Bay they had a great first half, and then second half, but I think they played well enough to win defensively. And then the last 2 weeks, he's done a fantastic job. And I'm sure Salah groomed D'Amico with the intention of him being a defensive coordinator, whether it was here or somewhere else. Because I'm pretty sure he was probably, if the Niners didn't keep him, he was probably going with Salah to the Jets.
Yeah, I would imagine. Nathan says, also been with you since 2020, June last year. Makes me proud to see how far you come. Make this channel grow more and more. Keep it up, King. Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate it. All right, Bo knows coming with the trivia. Bo, who knows, says trivia. According to True Media, which 4 Niner defensive linemen in 2021 have the highest percentage of pressures generated per pass rushing snap? Linemen must have a minimum of 80 snaps this season to qualify. Dang. Which 4 have the highest percentage of pressures generated per pass? So who are the Niners' top 4 pass rushers according to this stat?
Probably Bosa's got to be in there if it's 4. So I'm sure Bosa. You know what? Armstead's having a good year, so I'm going to say Armstead.
Probably Armstead. Probably DJ Jones.
And maybe Ford. Because it's per snap, right? It's per snap.
Maybe Ford. Is there someone that we're not? It's not Kinlaw. It's not Ebukam. About Street.
Yeah. Okay.
Street.
So let's go.
Possible.
Street, Bosa, Armstead, and who'd you say?
DJ Jones. Probably Ford. Probably Ford.
Do you want to go Jones or Ford?
Probably Ford.
Okay, Ford.
Probably Ford.
How'd we do, Bo?
How we do, Bo? Let us know. Because you do. All right. Last one, then we'll get back to our show. Do you guys really think Frank Reich won't beat Kyle Banana Hands because I see us getting drilled at home. Colts just beat the Texans 31-3. That is interesting. Look, I'll say this. I think it's going to be a close game. It's going to be a close game, and I do think the Niners could lose, but I think they'll win. I think they're they're more talented, but they could lose.
They could lose. I think you can really appreciate what the Niners did and what they did with Lance versus the Cardinals when you see what the Cardinals have done to two pretty good teams in the Browns and the Rams. And the Niners were in that game with a rookie quarterback. So it's not like they can't play good teams. I think they haven't announced the starter yet, but it looks like it's trending to be Jimmy.
Yeah, it's looking that way. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we don't know if Trey Lance practices on Wednesday, it could be interesting. But Kyle's already said if Jimmy's healthy, he's going to start, and Jimmy practiced on Monday, so he should probably play, unless by the end of the week he's like, "Hey, surprise, it still hurts." I don't know. It could be Jimmy.
What the 49ers didn't have against the Cardinals was they had one turnover, and it was a deep turnover, so it wasn't anything that cost them. It wasn't a grave turnover. So, and then they got one late in the game with Johnston fumble recovery. So if I remember, the turnovers were a wash in that game, right? Wasn't it?
Well, I don't look at it that way because the Niners went for it on fourth down 5 times and only got one. So that's 4 turnovers on downs, which are turnovers. Mm-hmm. They are on downs by definition.
Right.
And that's how you freaking lose to a team that you outgained. Right there. Right there.
Yeah, I think I don't want to get on it, but I'm not. I think I agree with if you decide before the game. I think what they did in that game was they decided before the game that they were going to go on, that they were going to be
because they couldn't contain Arizona's offense.
I think you're going to do. Yeah. I think what you got to do with that is you got to be one way or another. Like if you're going to decide that you're going to punt on fourth down, then like you got to punt on fourth down. But if you're going to decide you go for it, you got to go for it like pretty much on all the time, because the whole thing behind it is like the stats are going to play out, but the stats aren't going to play out unless you go for it.
4th and 4 when your defense is holding it down 3 at midfield, dude. No, react to the situation. Come on, man. You really thought you were going to get that on 4th and 4?
I'm not a go for it on fourth down guy unless.
Yeah, Brady. Yeah, dude, do it.
Unless, 4th and 1 and
you don't trust this guy to do anything but quarterback draws, and you called a throw. I'm sorry. We got to go on to the last topic. This game coming up. It's a big freaking game for the 49ers. I said I think they'll win, but it's not a guarantee. And if they lose, oh my God, what that would mean for this regime, for Kyle Shanahan. I almost kind of want to see it happen, but really it would be catastrophic. It would be catastrophic for this season. So what's this? Why do you call this a crossroads game?
I think it's a crossroads game because it's a crossroads for their season. It's a crossroads. It might be a crossroads for this regime, right? Because we just touched on it a minute ago. It's like, who's starting? Is it Jimmy Garoppolo or is it Trey Lance? And if it's Trey Lance, I mean, if it's Garoppolo, they're telling you what they're making a choice for this season and where they want to go. And to me, when they choose Trey Lance, if I'm Jed York, I'm gonna judge. I'm sorry, if you judge Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm gonna judge you on because you're telling me this guy gives you the best shot to win now. Right. So I'm gonna judge you on can you win?
Winning now, yeah. All right,
I'm winning now. If they started Trey Lance, I'm gonna judge you on does this develop?
Yeah.
Can you and
like if you went 8-9 but he got steadily better and the offense looked really good by the end of the year, I'd be crazy to fire you. No, 10-7 with Jimmy Garoppolo, and the plan for next year is, well, we're gonna stick with Jimmy because Trey hasn't played in 2 years.
Yeah.
No. Because that could happen. That could happen, Coach. Kyle could go in next year and be like, well, Trey really hasn't made the stride. What does he say about Ayuk? They haven't made the strides we expect. He hasn't really made the strides we've expected. And Jimmy just had a good year. I mean, so we're gonna stick with Jimmy.
Yeah,
that could totally happen.
100%.
Yep.
Great for your channel.
Hey, Jed, pray for your stadium.
So that's why I think this is it's a big crossroads because this decision about who's going to start, it 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 has repercussions for the entire season, and then the game itself, whether they win or lose, has repercussions. I mean, they can if they win, they can start to get back on track to possibly making a playoff run. Um, but if
Hold on, though. Hold on. Let me tell you where I'm coming from, though. Sorry. I don't see it that way. I see this as like only bad. If they lose, it's so bad. But if they win, are you going to look at them differently? Honestly,
me personally, no, I this
no.
team is
No
about
one's going to look at them differently if they beat the Colts. They should beat the Colts, and then they should beat the Bears too. Remember, the Niners were 2-3 last year, and then they beat the Rams and the Patriots and went to 4-3. So I'm still getting strong 2020 vibes, and them beating the Colts won't change that. Them losing to the Colts will take this to a whole different thing. This will be 2021 at that point.
I I thought coming in that they were about a little bit better than a 500 team.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't really change
If
anything.
they lose this game, I'm thinking, I don't know if they're a 500 team, man. This could be 5-12. They lose to the Colts at home, coming off a freaking bye week. That's really bad. It would be so bad. It would be so bad. That
It could happen.
possibility of that happening is why you see John Lynch rubbing his ear. He looked like a guy who's not that confident. Hey, man, this offense isn't blowing out anyone. And if you're going to be like in a close game down to the wire against a team, well, you know, a field goal could decide it. A missed field goal, a fumble, like luck could essentially decide the game. So good luck.
And that quarterback is a physically capable quarterback. If he's on,
Last year, I saw him last year. And he's a lot like Jimmy in the sense that they're going to get hurt, like and fast. So it's a waste of time having him on your team. But while they're out there, I much prefer a Carson Wentz type skill set to a Jimmy Garoppolo type skill set. That's just my preference. I know Jimmy can be efficient, but I like big plays. And Jimmy's efficiency comes with turnovers. So you know what? It's all a mirage to me. Like it looks good, the nice long drives, and then there's the pick. And you're like, was it worth it? Was it worth it? The time of possession. How about it? You have 7 points.
Yeah, there is a statistically when you do have big plays, you score more.
Prone to turnovers. But Jimmy, no big plays, still turnovers. I can't stand that style of quarterback. No, I'm out. I don't want that.
No, but you also statistically you also score more, and when you have big
plays are important. And Jimmy, they're gone. They're not.
As a defensive coordinator, I don't want you to have big plays. I'm trying to do everything to take them away because
I learned that from Saleh. He made that. He would explain, dude, big plays, the more explosive plays, the more you give up, the more likely you are to lose.
Correct.
More like end of story. And so if I can hold you to no explosive plays, I've done my job. I don't care what your completion percentage is. Complete 80% of your throws. You had no explosive plays, we're going to win, most likely, as long as our offense doesn't suck.
Yep.
Yeah. So, Bono's coming through to end the show. Impressive, guys. Finally, I've never gotten a Bono's question right. Bosa, Armstead, D Ford, and Street. Now, I hate the pressure statistic because it is undefinable. So, like, basically, I felt like if you gave someone a definition, which I've never seen a definition for it, but if you gave 10 people the definition and said, watch this game and count pressures, you would have 10 different tallies. That being said, interesting. Street, 8.5. He deserves more playing time. We basically did an eye test, and it matched up with the science. So that's great.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be Bosa because Bosa grades out with everything. I mean, you can see it on
the pressure king.
Yeah, Bosa's great. I do want to. I'm going to add lib with an additional topic because I do want to shout out two defensive players.
Hold on, real quick. Jimmy's having his best year.
Oh yeah, he's
Thank
awesome.
you, Johnny. All right, go ahead.
Nice job. I think I've not seen anyone else talk about this, but the last 2 weeks, Emmanuel Mosley has been awesome. Like he's been incredible.
Yeah.
And I did want to. I know Bosa does get his flowers, but he did something last week where I don't know that I've seen him do it before.
Who, Bosa or Mosley?
Bosa.
Oh.
Uh, the end of the half, the Cardinals started to move the ball. Then you had that offensive penalty on the Chargers left. I think it was their left tackle. I don't know the guy's name, but
Chargers?
Bosa caused that penalty because he's
Chargers?
not Chargers,
Okay, I'm
Cardinals.
sorry. Like which Bosa are we talking? Okay. The Cardinals.
Nick
Bosa, yeah.
Cardinals. Nick Bosa. Before the half, the Cardinals started driving, and to me it felt like they're going to score something. And the left tackle for the Cardinals had a false start because Bosa was lined up next to him. Then right after that play, Bosa beat him for a sack. So in a 2-play sequence, Bosa essentially took points off the board for Cardinals because it looked like they were going to score a field goal or a touchdown before the end of the half. To me, that big time players step up in big time moments. That was a big time moment for him because I think people were tweeting out, "Where's Bosa? Where's Bosa?" To me, he took points off the board for the Cardinals in that moment, and that was a big step because I was wondering where he was at in the Green Bay game. Because if you're going to be a premier pass rusher in the league, like you got to in the big games, like you got to show up. So that was a great job. I thought Bosa had a great game and that was a big moment for him stepping up. And then as we touched on before, Mosley's been awesome in the past couple weeks, and if he's trending that way, if the 49ers can find another corner at some point, then they'll be in great shape.
MD 2020 says Buckner is going to be all over that Jimmy G derriere. Just saying.
No, the 49ers guards are awesome. I think
why you say that. Yeah.
The right guard.
Yeah.
The right guard position. That's where it's at.
It's a good things that make your stomach turn. DeForest Buckner against Daniel Brunskill. Well, Niners should win that game anyway. I got to get out of here. Coach, it's been a pleasure. Have a good time wherever you are.
Likewise. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep.